Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Squiddy Fishing. Now today we're going to head through the pretty small surf and go out and look for a few more tuna. It's going to be our last weather gap for a while out wide, so let's make the most of it.
Yesterday we found albacore and skippies late in the season. We're going to head straight back out there. I've got a few ideas on how I might be able to get these fish to bite. I've got some smaller little anchovy imitations, smaller divers, so hopefully we can match the hatch, which is really little anchovies, and pick up a few more before the season comes to a close, and hopefully it's another spectacular day. Just passing the island now. Water's a lot dirtier than it was the other day, but I still have hope that it's probably quite nice out the back here. So let's keep going. Well, we've pretty quickly found some bait. Hawaii in pretty close to the island. I assume they're on anchovies again.
I scouted along this big school of kahawai but didn't find any tuna or blue that I was looking for, so I turned and headed out to sea.
We're out at 72 meters. And disappointingly, all that blue water has been pushed out, and I think to the south by the northerly we had yesterday. Just 24 hours before this, well 48 anyway, it was blue all the way in to pretty much Kayak over there on a line that way. And yeah, pretty disappointing because that kind of means the tuna will be out a lot further. So we're going to drop some jigs down, see if we can pick up a bottom fish. And that chance for the harpocker is always there.
And it didn't take long for my slow jig to start getting a few inquiries.
First fish of the day. Oh, it feels like a good one. Now we've just sort of started out here. Line's down for about probably 15 minutes. This thing pulled a bit of line on the bottom, so I'm interested to see what it is. A long wind up from 70 plus meters, so we'll just winch him in.
Squiddy, this is Battery calling.
Whoa. That thing's big. Yeah, I got you. I was just winding a fish in. I can't complain with that. He's well over a kilo.
Even when the fishing is a little slow, you cannot complain when you pull up gurnard like this.
So yeah, first fish, and it's a pretty bloody good one. Closing in on that 50 centimeter mark. Pretty fat through the middle. Could be a little bit fatter, but Sanaku, 130 gram head, and the coolie tail did the damage. And we'll get that line back down, and maybe some tuna might turn up. Well, I've spotted some tuna. It's green water. One just flew out of the air, probably 3 meters. It was miles out of the water. I've got an ultra deep diver on the right side, and I may just put the other one out in a second.
Well, what I was hoping for on this day was to get into more skipjack. But throughout the next 3 hours, I was laughed at by these speedsters. They would come up and down and I would just lose track of them, and they did not want to go anywhere near my lures. After being thoroughly demoralized for skipjack for 3 hours, I decided to drop my jig back down to the bottom as a last ditch effort.
Oh, she's been a tough all day today. We're chasing skipjack around and they're just teasing the shit out of me. They're too fast to keep up with, and they'll be on the surface and then go down. So I've decided to commit to a few bottom drops. Lure's still out the back waiting to go whenever they turn up again, because they've turned up every time I've put the jig down. Yeah, they're jumping all over the place. I just can't get a hook into one.
This gurnard was just the second fish to come for about 6 hours of effort. Shortly after I landed that gurnard, the wind decided to pick up, so I thought it was best to play it safe, cut my losses and head back to the beach after a very tough day at sea.
Big ones, eh? Yeah, look behind you now.
Laughed at by the tuna.
Thankfully, the weather had settled down just enough in the next few days for me to jump back out on the kayak. This time was hopefully going to be a bit better of a session on the fish front. The reef today was very flat with a few small waves to get through. And thankfully, no big ones out the back. I shot straight out and headed off to my spot. I dropped the anchor in about 10 meters of water as it was quite windy. I wanted to stay in close because the fish were right in there on the beach. Fish I was expecting to see today would be kahawai, snapper and gurnard. I got my fish burley out and popped it in the water, cut up a few baits, and thankfully this day the fishing was going to be a bit quicker.
Already in the burley.
Today I was using last cast pilchards along with a combination of fish bites at times. Both baits are really successful on gurnard, snapper and kahawai.
Oh god. Straight in. Ah. What could this be? Are we lucky? We are. Took line. That was fast. First gurnard, less than 5 minutes, so can't complain at all. We're already doing better than yesterday.
With so few fish coming from the last few trips, the plan was to take a few good fish for the family at home. The fish were into the burley thick and fast, and I was stoked to have hooked another fish within about 10 minutes. This fish was producing similar tail beats to the last one.
Oh, it's a gurney. Big one.
With burley in the water for just 10 minutes, it was already looking like it was going to be a good session. Back down the baits went and immediately got smashed again. I wonder what sort of fish it would be this time.
Oh, nice one. Oh, you're in, I'd say. Yep, easily. 35er. Right, I think we've got quite a few fish into the trail now. Getting hit as soon as it gets down now. I'll just pop him back in the holder, we'll get the other rod down.
I was going to be trying out one of Black Magic Tackle's snapper whackers in the original colour. I had this set up on my Gladius squid rod to hopefully have a bit of fun on some really light gear. And it wouldn't take long before it was loaded up. And by the looks of this one, it was a crazy kahawai. This kahawai really seemed to love jumping, as on the next jump, he tried to jump in the boat.
Jesus!
I quickly unhooked the kahawai and sent him flying back into the ocean. The burley was doing a spectacular job bringing another fish to my bait caster soon after. It was slow, short tail beats again. I wonder if you can guess what's going to pop up.
Oh, that's a beaut. When you think it's the kahawai, and it's one of them. Well, pretty successful session so far. He's got some big wings. You're not going to complain with 3 gurnard and a snapper in pretty short succession. No effort really required apart from a short paddle. Easy dinner. Oh, and that one's on. Oh. What have we hooked? It's doing a big circle. It was a pretty light gear. This is my squid rod. Meant for sort of trout work. It's what I typically use for trout. So good fun on whatever this is. It's giving us a bit of a pull around. I think it's a nice gurnard. It's what it's behaving like. I think it's a, yeah, yes it is. Gave us a bit of a pull around, didn't it? I don't mind if it falls off. Well, that's 4. We're doubled up at the moment. Thankfully going separate ways. This one's going like shit, but could be a snapper. The old big head shake, that's what I hope. Get him out of the road because I think he's a lot smaller, so. Yeah, thankfully he is. Thankfully he's just a little kahawai, so we can leave him there. And we can deal to this thing, which is a pretty good one, I think. He's got the old snapper head shakes. He's got a fair amount of pull.
Expecting to see a snapper, I was surprised to see a large kahawai surface. This one had done his best snapper impression.
Well, you did your best snapper impression, I'll give you that. It's a lovely condition kahawai, but I think we'll let him go.
I kept the burley pumping hard to keep all those fish feeding down below. The fresh trail of morsels definitely did the damage, as another fish grabbed onto the bait about 5 minutes later.
This might be another snapper. Yep, it is. Another panty.
It was nice to get a bit of variety with this second snapper to go with the 4 gurnard already in the back. Unsurprisingly, there were quite a few kahawai also down there.
It's fucking enormous. He's a big boy.
Finally, it was time to hook up to something different once again.
Oh, about time.
As I already had plenty of fish, this one was going home.
Whoa! A flying one.
And for the final fish of the day, this one was going to be the biggest for a long time. After a small bite on the ledger rig, I almost got spooled on my baitcaster. The fish took about 200 meters of line, and I scrambled to clear the gear and get the cameras rolling before starting to be towed out to sea.
He's probably about 150 out the front of me at the moment. It's big, though. It's big. Oh, it's a shark. And it jumped. Actually, don't know how big this thing is. We're getting close to him though. We're about 7 or 8 meters away. We're on purple. I can feel his tail hitting the line. It's only 60 pound. So we're doing good at the moment to even still have him. I hope it's a thresher. This rod doesn't really have any lifting power, so I don't know what I'm going to do once I get him straight up and down. Get this. Not happy. He's going that way now. There he is. Is it a thresher? Now this is going to be the tough part. Actually raising him. Pretty decent sized shark. Probably one of the biggest fish I've ever fought on the kayak, and it's on a little bait caster. Just want to get one good look at him and then we might cut him off. He's pretty substantial though. We're having to thumb the line to make any ground on him. Bloody game fishing on the bait caster. It's a bronzy, I think, and he's in the tail. That's the only reason I've got him still. There's no way in hell I'm going to get him up backwards, I don't think. He needs to come up for me. Or is it a hammerhead? It might be a hammerhead. Imagine that. Could well be a hammerhead. What is it? really long fins. I think it's a bronzy. How have we managed this? Oh, come on, come up so I can cut it. I want to keep him up here so he doesn't go to the bottom. Come up, come up. I want to be able to grab the leader so I can hold him without the rod. God. Right, tail's up. He's in the tail. How's that happened? Right, I can let go whenever. Jeez, he's a big. What's with the big fins? He's a pretty decent sized bronzy. Let's try and get it out of him. I think we'll just cut it off for him. That's caught and released. So he's about 1.5 meters. It obviously bit through the other one and got hooked at the back. So mate, that was serious.
After somehow landing that really nice sized bronzy on the baitcaster, I paddled back home happy with how the day had gone and with plenty of fish for the family. And thankfully today, the surf was very minimal, so it was an easy paddle back through the breakers. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for more kayaking action.